show, the number one hip radio show in America. And DJ Rock, what you heard, y'all, on the music tip, of course, is our greatest DJ in the entire universe, our brother DJ Vinyl.
Right.
DJ Vinyl, you got a whole back, my brother. You got to wait for your next local radio show. But we closing out Black History Month, even though I believe Black history should be taught every day, all day, which I do at Wheatwood High School. I teach it every day, all day.
Well documented.
No doubt. Absolutely.
Matter of record.
Absolutely. So,
Mr. A.
No doubt. Hotep, that's
back in the
ancient.
building.
That's an ancient Kemetic word, Egyptian word for peace. All right. Right. And my brother John Olutunje, my freshman student, is teaching me Yoruba, y'all.
Wow.
No doubt.
We
so
gotta
I'm gonna
get
say
you
this.
initiated.
That's what's up.
We gotta get
Brother.
you initiated.
Brother.
I gotta get you about.
Big shout out to brother John Olutunje. That's my man right there, man. And for real, man, freshman brother, man. Real excited about what we something I learned as a community activist. Following this brother here to my left,
Yes, sir.
brother Zaid, Baba Zaid,
Yes, sir.
brother Khalid, Muhammad. We say, hey, Khalid, that's Arabic for what's up, right? We say, oh man, share Lafayette, peace be unto you,
Right.
or what's up, and we say to our Latino brother, pasa, right? Right? To our bloods, to our bloods, we say what's popping. To our Crips, what's cracking, right? All the strong greetings.
The language and the language they understand.
No doubt. To all my revolutionary brothers and sisters.
That's right.
Black power. All power to the people.
That's right.
All right. So I have to say it like that, brother.
And peace,
because we speak various languages, man. So I just wanted to say that, and I'm going back to my brother John. He said, brother, when you say what's up in Europe, he said, share Lafayette is good as well. I say you love. He said, I love that. He said, but also you can say it like this. He said, check this out, brother Zai. He said, he taught me a word or a phrase, right? He said it's pronounced, what's up is pronounced like this. Like Tao, but it's Boa. And he corrects me too. He said, I want you to get it the Yoruba way. Boani, so Boani to all my brothers and sisters, particularly from the Yoruba.
His most vibrant cultures, and we got a serious problem with that. We put his behind on blast.
Absolutely.
So of all our family from Nigeria,
no doubt.
2020 as a year return, we still going to do that regardless of who's in the White House.
Right,
in fact, it's our intention to put that White House in the doghouse.
No doubt. With her, this whole Black History Month, she talked about the importance of using African terms and phrases to keep us connected to the culture. So, out of that spirit, Black consciousness on college campuses,
right.
across the country, on high school campuses, across the country,
Yeah.
in our hoods, in our neighborhoods. El Hajj Malik El Shabazz Ibaye Ashe to the brother, and our lead moderator will be another great brother right here, man. I learned so much from this brother, especially about revolutionary struggle, about Black liberation struggle. I learned so much from this brother right here.
Yeah.
Going to his forums in the hood, teaching on the Black Malcolm X, the Black Panthers, our culture. So
they were young boys in high school.
No doubt.
That's
absolutely.
right.
So we're gonna put our hands together. All right, and especially in the radio world, all right, on all your cell phones, all right, put your hands together for our brother Baba Zaid Muhammad.
General.
I'm not the guest. I'm the host.
I know.
I had to throw the ball out the window.
I'm giving that pass to you so you can bring out our very special guest.
Yes.
All right. So I'm putting that ball in your court.
Beautiful.
Baba Zaid.
This is a heavy day, a heavy segment. It'll be probably one or two, depending on whether or not the other folks who we asked to join us next for the following week, step up, because we're raising some very important, critical questions today. But we're on the heels of the 55th anniversary of the assassination of Malcolm X. And there's a film that is all over Filmland on Netflix called Who Killed Malcolm X? A 6-part documentary that does its thing in its way on the assassination that we want to talk about. and we have a powerful circle to take apart that film, and also really just to bring it back really in a base lived.
That's right.
Right. So we want to do all of that in this segment. We have in studio a very engaging young scholar who we're very going to acknowledge, Kelly Harris, and in the back over his shoulder is this beautiful, brilliant young daughter. Right. We want to give them a solid welcome to our circle. On the line, we have scholarship on Malcolm X. Carl Evans, whose Judas Factor is one of the turning points of modern scholarship on the assassination.
Yes.
He updated his Judas Factor to deal with the heartbreaking, disappointing, and I'm trying to be diplomatic because we are liberation, Malcolm X and the Organization of Afro-American Unity. But Bill Sales and Abdul Kalimat, when we went into the nasty 90s, we went into the nasty 90s armed with Malcolm to the teeth, because they gave us Malcolm X Speaks in the 90s, bringing scholarship and community together the way Black Studies was born and meant to be in the first place. Right? So we got some heavy hitters in here today. So we get ready to get in a few minutes in an introductory way to talk, just to say why this particular moment is important, why it's important to look at this new documentary with an important critical eye, and what it is that we must do to continue to move Malcolm's legacy forward in the wake of confusion being made, in wake of new revelations being made, in wake of generations coming onto Malcolm's legacy for the first time. Let's start with you first, Bill. You are elder. You will start with you, Bill, and we'll go Carl, then Kelly, and then we'll dive headlong into this discussion.
Okay, one thing I think we should emphasize right away is that you have a 6-part documentary that asks questions, but all of the very basic questions we need to be asking about Malcolm X. And I would suggest to you that although there's much to visualize there, and of course there are examples of Malcolm's words, the focus on finding a person who fired a shotgun into Malcolm X takes us in the wrong direction. I'll say categorically that Malcolm X was a victim of the security apparatus of the American white supremacist imperialist state. He was murdered in common parlance by the government of the United States. Right? There, of course, were members of the Nation of Islam who were manipulated into a position to murder Malcolm. Right? But our enemy is the government of the United States. They're still around. The Nation of Islam is not going to destroy black people in the United States. But the government of the United States has been and continues to do that, and seems to be on a collision course to take the whole planet down with it. So right away, I think that the documentary points us in the wrong direction. For all that it says about Malcolm and his assassination, it doesn't focus on the real essential ABC, maturation of the most important class in the black community. The folks that have no place in the system that we live in. The street people.
The lumpen, that's right.
The folks who are incarcerated for, forever. You know what I mean? Malcolm came from that group when it was young and emerging at the beginnings of the post-industrial period. He matured. You don't hear our people at all, that he is the voice. That's one very important thing. A second thing is that Malcolm emphasizes, he started with a very important contribution the Nation of Islam made. That is that the consciousness of the Negro was a false consciousness. The consciousness of the Negro was a dead person's consciousness. They didn't know who the hell they were, where they came from, what they were about, and where they were going, right? And so Malcolm builds on that notion of a black man being a man who is alive because he knows who he is. And he delves more deeply into our identity as an African people. When he said, while you say you're no African, you lost your mind in Africa. So by reuniting us with where are we going, who are our friends, who are enemies, all of those things, And he also shows us that the most dispossessed groups in our community can transform themselves
That's
into
right.
freedom.
That's right.
Right? Because that's what he did. They destroyed Malcolm's family. Right? They went after it and they destroyed it. And they tried to destroy Malcolm through friendship. And all of our young people who are in deep, deep trouble need that example of Malcolm more than ever, today.
Go ahead, Doc.
You know?
Go ahead, Doc. Go ahead, Doc.
Carl, you ready? Chime on in. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Last thing
Go ahead, Bill. I'm sorry.
You always go on forever, and I don't want to do that. But in a period, there are large young black people who deny that they're African. They contradictory things like I'm black, but I'm not an African.
Go ahead, Doc.
It's very important because in the era of globalization that's led by a neoliberal imperialism, we have to counter that with Pan-African international.
Yes, sir.
So whenever Malcolm talked about the African American, he wasn't talking about it in the 1980s formulation of Jesse Jackson.
Right.
And it's just talking about North American black people.
Go ahead.
When he talked about the Afro-American unity, he was talking about the Western Hemisphere.
That's right.
Right?
Yes.
There would be 3 continents, diaspora, 1 continent, other land. Europe, North America, South America, diaspora, Africa, other land. You see? And I think that the shrinking today of our conception of who we are, right, has made it very, very, very difficult for us to fight back. So then we need Malcolm more than ever. Now you contrast that Malcolm with the reality of this series, where the person we think did it is dead,
Right.
and we wasted episodes, right? At least 45 minutes to 44 minutes an episode, running in that direction. All kinds of things I can say about that effort, who killed me. So that's where I come
Right.
from.
Awesome. Good setup. Carl, you ready to chime in?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I was contacted by Art Media 2 years ago, January, and they said they were going to do an expose on the last year of Malcolm X. Okay, so I said, that sounds great, because if you're going to do the last year, you're talking about his development as an international revolutionary. So I said, well, great. And they had a young black lady call me in. But I said, I'm always leery when someone calls me and wants to, do a 6 or 7 part series on anybody. Because the problem with volunteering to be in that sort of thing is that you have no control over the final edit.
Yeah.
And so, which is what Zach Kondo just found out. He said they interviewed him for 12 to 13 hours, and I think he's on there for possibly 20 minutes. Out of 6 hours. So that's what I'm saying. So, they're always duplicitous. But when, at any rate, the sister called and said, well, it's interesting. Maybe it's a black company. I immediately went to Art Media's website, and I see everybody there is white. And they got 2 sisters on there, basically fronting this thing. And I said, listen, tell me this. Are you going to have Zaire Ali on this thing? Are you going to have Abdul Rahman on this thing? Are you going to have Michael Dyson? I said, because if you are, I cannot be part of that. I said, these are the people who have betrayed Malcolm's legacy. And I don't want to be I told her specifically, I don't want to be in the same universe with these people. Okay? Let alone the same room, the same film, the same anything on this planet. Because I know that their interests and that their motivations are to damage the man's integrity, or to ruin his legacy. And that's what we have to be.
Right.
By the way, he's been amassing documents on Malcolm X for over 10 years. So that's where Manny Marable got all of his stuff from David Garrell. People need to know this. David Garrell's next target, I believe, is Malcolm X. This is why I was warning people in my blog, be leery of this guy. He's setting up Abdul Rahman. And another thing that bothers me is that so much of the program is quote his black Muslim speeches where he's talking about the white man this and the white man that. They spend very little time talking about the Malcolm X who the post-Hodge Malcolm X, who said, listen, I am willing to work with Dr. King and anybody else who wants to change the condition of the black man in this country in terms of human rights. I will work with anybody. They don't talk about any. You let me know. Okay, they don't show you that different. They don't show you the new Malcolm X, as it were. They want to keep you, in the mud with the old Malcolm X. with the Nation of Islam when he was not his own man. So that bothered me too. But the thing that really bothered me is the whole thing cut off as theater. They got this guy on this this quixotic travel to find a killer. And as Brother Sales said, that's so irrelevant now because they knew going in that the man was dead. They knew he was dead, and this is bothering me in my mind. It's like, I'm going to confront this man, come hell or high water. Well, you found the man 10 years ago. Why didn't you confront him before now? Why are you waiting 10 years to try to find the man that you're not looking for anyway? So the whole thing is really it's a fraud, and it's an insult to the public. Now, the good thing about the series, as people noted, is that it's alerting young black people, young Latinos, young non-white people all over the world, that this brother was a powerful speaker, because the minute you hear Malcolm speak, you are listening to the truth. You don't have to listen to his words. It's just the intonation. It's the voice. It hits you, man, like in your heart. It's like, my God, this brother is speaking truth. And that's what the thing that really, I was happy for that. That they are at least introducing him. But then they throw you a curveball and say, listen, this whole thing falls down to it's the biggest lie they've ever told. Okay, they have the FBI documents. They quote those. They have the New York Police Department's bossy files. They quote those. But then the important documents, CIA files, which was in May 1964, where this guy Benjamin Reed wrote Richard Helms, who was the director of plans at the time in the CIA. Now, for those who don't know, the director of plans was the office in the CIA which handled the assassination of foreign leaders. So this guy in the White House, Benjamin Reed, contacts Richard Helms, who's head of the Executive Action Department, in other words, the assassination department. And he says, why don't you deal with Malcolm X the way you deal with these other foreign leaders who are causing us problems? This brother has given up his American citizenship as a practical matter, and he's under Malcolm X for dummies, as it were. They don't really want to talk about Malcolm X, and they tried to mislead me by telling me that they were going to focus solely on his last year. So, the whole thing is a farce. It's a good primer or a primer on Malcolm X. But if you're looking for the truth, you're going to have to go elsewhere.
Kelly, jump in, and then I'll give mine, and then we'll have this conversation.
Yeah. So when I first saw the title of the documentary, "Who Killed Malcolm X," my first reaction was, we already know that, and that's been known for close to 30 years. The work that Brother Carl did, the work that Brother Zach Kondo did excellent work, excellent research, which whenever these things come out about Malcolm X, it's like they're killing him all over again.
Right.
Spike Lee's movie was like they killed him again.
Right.
Marable's book is like he killed him again. That was a big threat to this country, and we have to understand why. If we go back and look in 1958, the CIA had created a front organization called the American Society for African Culture. Put a black man over it because they wanted to control the increase the narrative that Malcolm was released in 1952. By September of that year, they already spied on him. Already got letters that he had written. So who got those letters? How did they get those letters? Right. So they didn't talk about that. They did not really create a good narrative around who Malcolm X was. Not only that, but Malcolm is just one piece of an assault they did on all black organizations and leaders. The CIA, the FBI, military intelligence, which is never talked about in all these different things, along with the police force, local, state, and national forces, and the post office.
That's right.
All that stuff is right. So
days of Garvey. Come on.
So for me, it's a dangerous piece because for a lot of people, this is their first introduction to Malcolm X. As crazy as it may sound, as crazy as it may sound, this is a reflection. There's a lot of people's first introduction. Marable's might have been their first introduction, right? And it does not give people a good understanding and fullness and appreciation of who Malcolm X was, because that's clearly not what they want us to see.
And let me tell you how I got at this, right? And I took a chance because I was very guarded, and I let these folks know when they first came to me. I said, look, who are you? And they were, we were supposed to meet a couple years ago at Mosque of the Islamic Brotherhood. I was with Imam Talib, Abdul Rashid and Mosque of Islamic Brotherhood is the successor mosque of the Muslim Mosque Incorporated, as all of you know, right? They didn't show, right? And then later down, as soon as they spike a visit, we put him on blast and let him know that if you come at Malcolm wrong, you're going to have some serious problems in our community. He had already signed on a line to a script that was far worse than what we ultimately got out of him. And that's why he went back to Oprah and Magic and all these other people and got that extra money in his lane, clean this thing up, right? So it's out of that paradigm. So they came to me, you know, he started backing up right away. I said, who are you going to have in this? All right? Who are your scholars? Where's your authority, right? And they were kind of, you know, he had to kind of him and haw because they were stuck on Manning Marable. So wait a minute, you got to have Zach, you got to have Carl, you got to have Bill. I went on down the list because when so much has been done over the last 20, 30 years, it's right in front of everybody's faces that they didn't want to deal with. So to the degree that we got something out of that is because I put them on blast from the door, right? So I'm glad we got Zach, even though we got him in the limited degree that we did get him in there, you know, as a consequence of putting their behinds on black. But I wanted to say this to them and to everybody else. I wanted to make clear that yes, we had those hands come out of Newark. Yes, we all know that. But more than that, Malcolm's impact politically and culturally and historically on our times and on our town is beyond the assassination. And they needed to be talking about also what Amiri Baraka did with Malcolm's legacy. We started naming schools. Right. We ran some white gangsters out of town, not black gangsters. We ran white gangsters out of town, took City Hall, and gave our whole community, nationally, a model on how to take power using the doctrine of the ballot of the bullet. Remember, Miri's organizations were armed. People forget that, right? We didn't just vote our way into City Hall. We had to stand down some armed white boys and back their behinds up militarily in this town, right? None of that, right? The cultural explosion that Amiri did. Amiri was in front of all of that. All of that is Malcolm's line, right? So and that got reduced to maybe a few minutes. And when they got to Achilles Buchanan, who led a campaign as a high school student, right? That's talk about how our young need to see Malcolm. They need to see that Malcolm inspired political campaigns that change conditions, right? That's what Achilles Buchanan did. But they want to drop this whole thing on stuff. The kids ain't had nothing to do with that. So they missed an opportunity. You're right. 6 episodes. We could have done so much more with that, you know. So I have to lay that out and make that plain.
No, you're on point.
Yeah, come on, jump on it, Bashy. I'm glad you're here.
This brother, this brother.
Bashy's been on hiatus. He's been working so hard at his school. It's good to have him back in the building.
Yes.
And he's somebody that takes this stuff that we teach and puts it right into practice.
No doubt.
From our most knucklehead lumping to wherever we need to be. I'm glad to have you back in the building.
25 years.
That's
teaching,
right.
Straight out of Shaw University.
One of my favorite soldiers. That's right.
Well, you sent them folks my way, brother, because they.
That's right. And they didn't do it.
Right. They discovered I teach lessons to you people. Every single I've taught lesson plans to about Malcolm for 25 years since I graduated from Seton Hall. Mm-hmm. You know, and so they came into my classroom for a minute, and I guess I didn't serve their purpose because it completely cut me out. I'm there very briefly. You don't see my face. I have my waist shirt on, and I'm teaching lessons on Malcolm to my students, and they kind of didn't want that part. But I did go into the conspiracy of Baba Zaid and Dr. Sells and Brother Carl and my brother. We went into all of that, but we also talked about Malcolm's impact on Black nationalism. Absolutely. And speaking of young people, man, when the brother from Seton Hall, the current chair of the Seton Hall's African Studies, Professor Kelly, listen, young people, unfortunately, we're in the process of rebuilding the Black liberation movement. So therefore, our young people do not know the history of Brother Malcolm. It's a whole new generation again. Just like when I was coming up, I didn't know anything about Brother. No one taught me about Brother Malcolm X from kindergarten. This is 1975, I guess, when I entered kindergarten, right? To until I graduated high school in 1987.
Right.
Not one teacher taught me about Brother Malcolm. Never heard of him. Never heard of Elijah Muhammad. Never heard of the Nation of Islam. That's how I did. And my brother Ed, the executive producer of this radio show, can bear witness because he was the one that taught me first. I'm used because I was
your
dead.
African mind.
Oh, I was dead back then. And when I first started college in 1987, I was completely dead. I never heard of him. Never heard of Elijah Muhammad. All right, and on the streets of Newark, New Jersey. But unfortunately, you know, by the time I came up, there was just nothing left. Just this. The Panthers were gone. You know, the original Black Panther Party was gone. The movement was gone. Nothing was nothing left but crack and DJ Mono.
80s,
you know what I'm talking
nasty
about.
90s.
Right, absolutely. Nothing but crack and you know, it was a mess. So, you know, for young people, it's just unfortunate that again, brothers, that again a whole new generation does not know. They completely do not know anything about Brother Malcolm. So Netflix in this age of social media and the internet and everything, it's like they're being, you know, exposed to Malcolm again. And like Brother Carl said, is that the Netflix piece is, I said that in my classroom a couple of weeks ago. I said, well, the Netflix piece is a documentary for them. The Netflix piece about about.
And so of course they'll be up for an Academy Award, you know, for documentaries and all that kind of crap. And then of course the other thing is that if he is exonerated, he can sue the New York State for millions of dollars.
That's right.
Okay, so in effect, the government will be taking taxpayer dollars to pay a man millions of dollars for killing Malcolm X. I mean, to me, that's insane. And I've talked to two of his lawyers, the brothers on the Innocence Project. I said, you are being bamboozled. And the brother, one of them, David, he said, I hadn't seen the entire video. They only showed me the video of Mustafa outside the Autobahn. I said, well, listen, follow this link, watch this documentary that the Blacks Recruiter film, and you will see a man who looks like Butler, walks like Butler, and moves like Butler, and it is Butler. I said, they're using you. They cut all of that footage out of the 6-hour series, and they also use 1 second of Sister Sharon 6-second Pool's identification of Norman X. Butler. They use 1 second of her talking, and they cut her entire conversation out, which is that's fraud, and that's hypocrisy, and deception. People should have heard what she had to say. They also should have shown those hell. But you have Sharon Shabazz, Betty Shabazz, Yuri Kochiyama, and all these women saying,
internationalists who was from Japan and who survived the Japanese internment, who also came into the OAAU with Malcolm, and who was a medically trained nurse, and she was really also one of the ones attending to Malcolm at that point of when he was shot medically. All of them were on trial and identified from what you're telling us, the Butler as being in the set.
People should know this about Yuri. Okay, when the brothers were still firing at Malcolm X, she ran up to the stage. Okay, go back and look at the New York Times.
Wow.
February 22nd, she said, "I will die for this man." Okay, now you had all these women out there protecting Malcolm X. Okay, Jane Reynolds, Assistant Khadijah. First, all the brothers were out there, you know, hiding behind stage or ducking under chairs, and there was no Warriors person except for Reuben Francis, who put a cap in.
Forgotten man. That's why we got here. Yeah, we wouldn't have anything had it been for Brother Reuben.
Thank you. And Marigold is going to kind of paint Brother Reuben as a hypocrite who set the whole thing up. If you think about it, it makes absolutely zero sense. Okay, the person who guided Marigold through his entire book was James 67 Tex Warren, and all of Malcolm's people thought that he was a traitor. They thought that he was on the wrong side. And in fact, one of Malcolm's guards, and this is on the, by the way, people should ask Peter Bailey to release the OAAU reunion tapes, because it's on those tapes. Okay, it's on those tapes that Peter has refused to release. In those tapes, this brother, a security guard, said, I walked by Malcolm's office on February 19th. Friday, February 19th, I heard a bad argument. He said it was 67X arguing with Brother Malcolm X. And I was like, you know, this brother showing the brother no respect. So he slid up to the door and didn't go in there. And he swears to God that he heard James 67 ex-warden say, listen, if you don't do what we say, we will kill you.
Wow.
Okay? Now, this is the brother who's guiding Marable through the documents on the FBI.
Wow.
So, you know, obviously he's the wrong guy. You know, you can't, you know, I mean, that's just like a fox in the hen house situation again. So there are a lot of undercurrents to all this stuff. But the point I'm trying to make is that sisters, brothers, were the ones who were willing to die for them.
Go ahead, Kelly.
Carl, can you also though talk about Sharon Poole and relationship to what Marable alleged and her relationship to Benjamin Goodman?
Sharon Poole was a very young sister. She was really 17 at the time.
Right.
Now, and something else was a good guy, Lynn Ward Cathcart, who was a leader in the Newark Mosque at the time. Okay, her father, and he vowed to take care of her. You know, when her father passed on, and so he became like a father figure to her, but she called him uncle, whatever. So she was sitting right next to him when the whole thing went down. Okay, but she after the assassination, she went outside and she was stopped by a reporter. And she said the guy actually Malcolm's lover, and in fact he could have spent the night with her. You know, the night before he died. Well, hell, he could have spent the night with Marilyn Monroe. You know what I'm saying? If you talk about could have, that could be a million.
He broke every rule in the book in terms of how you approach scholarship.
Yeah.
Every single one.
But listen to this now. Listen to this. If you look in the footnotes of the source for this allegation that Malcolm spent the night with Sharon Shabazz, guess who the source is? The source. I called him and I said, you know, you could be making a lie up, a butt on it. And he said, well, brother, you know, I didn't know about that, but I'm glad you set me straight on it. And despite that, I talked to Marable. I said, you need to take that crap out of the book because it's a lie. Marable told me, well, brother, this was 2010, May of 2010. He told me it's too late. The book is set in stone. Nothing can be changed.
Wow.
Okay, and then they turned around and made some final edits to it. Okay, so that, you know, the whole thing was it was a lie. And you know, I think it's a shame. But Marable, Marable's a good friend of David Garrow. David Garrow, this is something else I want to point out, is that he's the main white person in the series.
Got to have a white guy in there.
Yeah, you got to have a white guy like approving black people what they're saying, which is ridiculous. But Garrow is the first person to go around. He wrote a book about King.
Yes.
Many years ago, his first book called King, a Sexual Athlete. Okay, you know, a satyr, in other words, brother. They call him a satyr. And okay, now look at this guy. He's a nerd, geeky, unattractive, skinny. You know, this guy probably didn't have a woman until he got married.
Oh, wow.
You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
Related to what? How do you compare seeing King having sex with 4 or 5 women with your own sexual relations, with your own sexual history? So where are you getting this from? And he got it from the FBI. The FBI called him a sexual pervert. And this is the first thing Garrow said, okay? Then the most recent thing he said was that, you know, King was sat back in a room, in a hotel room, while one of his assistants raped a woman. He's destroying his reputation, and I guess he's going to try to build it back by putting out some nonsense on Malcolm X. So we got to keep these snakes in check, brother.
Yeah, right on. Well, listen, we're down to our last 5 minutes. So I want each of you to give your closing thoughts on the important takeaways that we need to be using in our community as educators.
Malcolm is a very important figure in our liberation, even though to the decade of the 21st century. And because of that, there are going to be many attempts to distort his legacy and to neutralize his role in the process of our liberation. So we have to be on the lookout. We have to be clear about him, that we find the people who are still alive, who can tell you firsthand what they know about Malcolm. We need a kind of a renaissance, what we did going into the 90s.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. That's where my head is at. That's exactly where my head is at.
And sources and study groups and study guides, you know, to make sure that the young folks know who Malcolm is and can learn lessons from him when they go forward and struggle against him.
Also known as Benjamin Kareem in April 1966. And Marable was going to claim that was
Mouth shot.
And I said, you know, brother, how can the guy father a baby? 14?
He was already dead.
You know, so we got to.
It was terrible.
We have to keep a constant vigil on Malcolm's legacy, and we really need to go back and start cleaning up King's legacy, because the people who support King, I don't know a great deal about Dr. King, so I'm not in a position to criticize everything that this guy Garrow and some of these other freaks have done. But I'm telling you, we need to go back, re-examine Garrow's work to see if there's some discrepancies and some misstatements in there, because clearly these people are out to destroy our people, our heroes.
Absolutely.
Kelly?
And the Henry brothers.
Free land,
fruit,
free
that's
land.
right,
I'm a citizen.
that was the fruit of his
That's
labor.
right.
If you talk Herman Ferguson before he talked about what Herman Ferguson did, right? And how Malcolm inspired him to do the work that he did.
He was the only one that didn't run.
That's right.
That picked up the
That's
organization.
right.
Started with the Jamaican Rifle and Pistol
That's right.
Association.
That's
and
right.
those young warriors went into the legendary
right.
New York chapter
That's
of the
right.
Black Panther
And that's
Party.
often not talked
about. Oh,
it's not talked about. That's not talked about. When we talk about Malcolm's legacy, we also have to talk about the organization that he kind of gave birth to, who he inspired.
We laid out a new.
There wouldn't be. There can be an argument that the modern day Black Studies movement would not have happened without the.
Anticipated where I was going. Although it's 2020, I think we need to start gearing up now for Malcolm's centennial in 2025. All the stuff I can't even pronounce, and what that other old OG is, and they all laughing at me now, right? You got to say this, and it's on Facebook. I don't care, right? But we need this new, because can you imagine what Malcolm would have done with this, all of this technology? Can you imagine what Garvey would have done with this? The shoulders that Malcolm standing with all of this. Oh yeah, so we have to really start moving ahead with those study groups, those study guys, those organizational formations. I'm looking at it, trying to develop a film festival in Malcolm's name through the Malcolm X Commemoration Committee in New York, within 3 different cities. Malcolm's and of course, underneath all of that is that Malcolm was one of our greatest organizers, right? I mean, and that's the huge piece that's missing in all of it. So yeah, but Bash, I ain't forget you. You already got seeds that you dropping every day, right? What are your final thoughts?
Oh, brother, listen, I'm taking it all in from all y'all brothers, man, for real, man, no doubt. But definitely study groups, brother. We need more study groups. We need more conferences, more forums.
Got to get our babies past school.
No doubt. But in the streets, in the community, I can't stress that enough. With all the technology, no doubt, still at the end of the day, we still need to be in the street.
Yes, sir.
Right? Doing these programs and forums and communities to expose our people, particularly young people, all over again on the legacy on our brother Omar Wali El Haj Malik. Absolutely.
Oh hell yeah, we'll always come.
We got some strong brothers.
We High
School in Newark, New Jersey. Big shout out to Weekway High School.
Absolutely.
For life. But yeah, that's a base. That's a
great.
You have made a great impact on my life. And
yes.
And we had Sister Nicole Hannah Jones, man. She was one of our guest speakers.
Oh wow.
At Weekway High School.
Yes.
In fact, Weekway was the first school she went to in America. All right, to talk about the 1619 project.
Yeah.
I thought about you, Doc. I said, Doc, I remember he said, burn these years, these amendments in your memory banks. And that 1619 date was one of those years that you told me to burn in my memory. I never forgot that, and I say that to my students every year, every single school year, brother. Thank you, Asante Sana.
Yeah. Teachers, we live for those moments.
Indeed.
Let me wrap this up with this shout out. I want to shout out Jonathan Austin, who was really key in bringing the segment together.
Yes.
He got Carl for us, and Kelly and I want to shout out Todd Barrows.
Yes.
Todd and Carl Evans did with A Lie of Reinvention.
Jared Ball.
Correct. I said, what did I say?
You said Carl.
I'm sorry. Getting tongue twisted, moving fast, right? Right. But A Lie of Reinvention, correcting Manning Maribel, Malcolm X, and of course, by any means necessary, Herb Boyd, Ron Daniels, Maulana Kareem, and Haki Matabutis, by any means necessary, Malcolm Real, not invented. 2 book responses to the mess that Manning Maribel made. We have to shout that out. I want to shout out Todd for his contribution to making this segment happen. Sharon X is an ancestor. I've been looking for her for a long time.
Oh, wow.
Because I was 17 when I stole Malcolm's autobiography in the drug transaction.
Yeah.
I always wanted to connect with that sister when I found out about her joining the OAU and Muslim Mosque Incorporated. She left before I could get hold of her. So I appreciate everybody's contribution. There may be a part two. I've reached out to our folks from the film. They have not been responsive as I would hope that they would be, whether they come forward or not. You all heard what we said. We ain't got nothing to take back. You know, we're not apologizing for anything we said or we do. We've been out here defending his legacy for decades, probably close to 100 years if you pull our years together, and we're not going to back up from that at all. So this has been a heavy, powerful, pointed, eye-lifted segment of Your All Politics Are Local, right? A purely community radio production. And we got to disclaim it better. All right. All Politics Are Local is purely a community radio production. And the ideas and programming does not in any manner reflect the views or positions of Rutgers University of Norfolk. This Rutgers alum will say that. Mine is in here, right? But yeah, we got to do our professional crossing the T's and dotting the I's, but not with any apologies, right? So we wind the segment up. Getting ready for DJ Rhino's
no doubt.
ride into the night, right? And let's give our guests a round of applause, right? Good segment. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
And we'll be back in a Mississippi moment. We'll see you in the whirlwind.
No doubt. Thank you. All right, this is the All Politics Are Local radio show, the number one.